Oh, I love the energy. Love the energy. Well, again, my name's Dave Grimsley. I am your AI guy today, and I got to tell you, I want a question out there for you guys. Are you guys burnt out? Are you guys like ready to go home on this weekend, go rest? Because a lot of what we're going to talk about is the productivity aspect of AI. How to maximize your time, how to gear yourself into a better life. I don't know about me, but I'll tell you something. I've saved over 20% of my time with AI. So a little bit more, we're going to go more into the issues at hand, right? Raise your hand right now. You have 5 more projects. All right, keep them up. All right, awesome. And let me say this, keep your hands up if your department or Department of Defense or what have you is not allowing to use AI. Okay, I'm sorry for your loss. I'll pray for y'all. That is sort of where we're getting into this day and age where they want it now, right? They want it yesterday. They want their ROIs, they want their KPIs, they want their elemental Ps, they want their QRSs over here, and you're like, can I just go to lunch? Can I just breathe? And with AI, you're really going to move into this new process. But our current limitations really are task queues. Like I know for me, my team in South Carolina is really like, hey, we've got all this stuff to do. We don't know how to prioritize it. What's going on? And you've got 14 different things. Your kids are crying. The dog's barking. And you're like, I miss the office, just really want to go back, and, two, being able to, trying to understand the reprioritization as well as the actual insights of just the workload of this day and age, right? So I don't know about you, but this was my life before AI. We had missed deadlines. We had clients that were grumpy with us because we forgot something in our notes or we forgot to write something down, right? Is anybody agreeing with that? Like, I don't know about you, but I am like, I don't know if I'm going to live tomorrow or not because I missed this deadline, but I'm going to be okay, I think, right? So again, that fallout falls into excessive costs, right? So with that extra due date or we got to punt on this project, you're like, oh my goodness, we just lost $200,000, right? So you're like, that's going to come out of somewhere. And I know some of you guys are consultants and you do your own thing, and that money is your bread and butter. So it goes into that. And then on top of all that stress, you have that magical burnout moment where you're like, oh, heck, everything's going crazy. I've got missed deadlines. And I don't know about y'all, but you guys feel like it's like a domino effect in your life where it's like one thing after another, after another, after another. I see nods. That's awesome. And really it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? I have all this mess, all this overwhelmness, and I don't have enough money to go to the buy low to pick up a scratcher and go, please let me win $3 million and a unicorn and I'll be A-okay, right? So again, that's sort of what AI is. That's the promise of it. And really unleashing the power of AI to really boost your productivity. It's not supposed to take away from you as a person. Now, a lot of people are like, AI is a robot. AI is going to be, da-ba-da-da. Yeah, no. You're still having to put input in, right? Because once you have put input in, you get input out. So act like it's your secretary. But we're going to spend most of our time in generative AI, if that's okay. But I wanted to share with some of the capabilities really briefly on some of the bigger items, like, you have a business, you're a CEO, you want to add some things to your markets, your people. We have machine learning that is really just, all it is just being able to pick up what you guys have, your data, and be able to run with it, right? And then we also have language processing, which you guys already use already. Raise your hand if you use Alexa every day, or Siri, or I don't know, Google Assistant. Yeah, your guys are using AI. Congratulations, welcome to the 21st century. I mean, that's where that language processing is, where they understand your commands and it goes into that funnel, right? And then lastly, the biggest one, and I kind of nerd out on this one because who doesn't love numbers, right? I love analytics and I love predictions. A lot of what we're looking at from the machine learning to the analytics side is just phenomenal. I mean, it used to take NASA engineers. Anybody seen that movie where they did the calculations on the walls and they're just like, okay. And then now they're coming up with these computers that basically do all their analytics for them, their math and everything. And you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so going back into generative AI, we're really looking for this task prioritization, right? And one of the biggest ones that I use is Claude AI. Claude AI is, I will say this, I do not speak for the brand or the company, and they don't pay me, and I don't have a sticker on my car. But it's really, really, really cool to see Claude at work with analyzing tasks. You can ask it like, you can put your whole documentation, your whole project plan into Claude, and you can ask, hey, analyze the urgencies and impacts based on your project plan. And it will spit it out and you're like, okay, now I have somewhere to go. And it would take you 30 seconds rather than 30 minutes to an hour, right? And it sort of maximizes your time. The other thing too is it can also forecast the resources needs. A lot of times you can ask it like, I'm in software, I build IS systems for medical folks, and really what the biggest thing is it bigger than a bread box? What kind of hours do you need, Bob? I don't know. How many you need rows? I don't know. Okay, so how are we going to manage our time and our resources with that planning aspect of that project plan? I know we scope at least 50% up front, but imagine if we can do 65 or 75 out of the gate and then go to our folks and say, hey, where we're going on this? How are we going to manage these kind of folks better, right? And then you're leading up to that point where you're like, okay, we have 75% confidence. We're going into this meeting instead of having 3 more meetings and then a lunch, and then you're going, okay, we're still at square one, right? So again, that's sort of where we're going. Not to mention too, of the optimizing sequencing. That is a game changer for me. I don't know about you, but I'm a squirrel when it comes to project management. I'm like, oh, I'll do this project here, and I'm all here, and then all of a sudden a fire comes around, and you're like, I gotta go here. And then you have another fire here, and you're like, okay, where was I sequencing at? Where was the plan? Where was the development of the design here? Where's the wireframing? And it actually helps to be more efficient. Also, too, it also does a great job at task management when it comes to lists and being more individualized. In my next workshop, which is after this one, I encourage you to come to that one because we're going to be diving deep into a grocery list. I know it sounds simple, but as project managers, I don't know about y'all, raise your hand if you guys have kids, right? Everybody has kids. How much time do you need to like budget, plan, and to figure out what the kiddos need for lunches, dinners? You got kids yelling in your ear. Can I get an amen somewhere? That's sort of where we're at, right? And so it gives you a better idea of being able to really have more of an individualized plan. Not to mention too, when you have, for example, I use Claude a lot with my my meeting notes, and then I go, okay, out of that meeting notes, what are my next steps? What are my next steps for my key players? What are my next steps for my dev team? What are my next steps for me? And it systematically bullet points it for me, and I'm like, okay, I don't have to think, I can review it, and I don't have to think so much. Also, too, we have to look at strategic considerations. I know a lot of folks are in the market right now where they're like, okay, we see you AI, but we don't want to touch you yet because it seems a little wearisome. It feels a little, I don't know if we want to court you. We don't know what your capabilities are. We don't know your privacy factors. We don't know anything much about you, but we like what you're doing, right? And so a lot of folks are right now at the strategic level, right, where we're learning about the alignment and organizational goals of really going back to basics and really seeing what the solutions are out there. Because I don't know about y'all, but every time I go to an AI website to sign up for a newsletter, and they have like the AI rundown, as for example, they have like over a good 2,000 solutions there, and honestly, that's quite a lot for anybody to just pilfer through and just try to do discovery, and really just trying to align your key business objectives and priorities with those. It's kind of a harder task, right? Because right now we're in this Renaissance era. It kind of reminds me of when we were in the bubble phase, the internet bubble phase. Remember all of that where we were like, oh, the internet. Now we're like, AI. And now we're like, okay, where we're going from here, right? So being able to align those goals with your organization and also having a transparent view of that alignment, because it's going to be it's not going to be clean. I'm going to say that because, again, I don't care if it's Copilot, Bard, ChatGPT, Claude, it's all a process. It's all going to be a learning aspect, and being able to be open and honest with your folks and being able to discover that's going to be key, right? And so when we go into that, we're also going into integration feasibility. I don't know about y'all, but show of hands, do you ever feel like you're playing with Jenga with these integrations? Like, do we have any software devs? Yeah, I see you guys in the middle. Yeah, I see you smiling too, because you feel like if you take that integration away, it's going to break a bunch of stuff. Am I right? Yeah. And you're like, how? Like, this is really going to help our industry, but poof. Oh, sweet goodness. We just lost half of New York City's data. Okay, guys, I'm going to go to the Tahiti. I'll see you guys never. Okay, love you, bye. Right? So you have to understand the integration feasibility of your organizational goals as well, and being able to really adapt and to really align that, because again, sometimes the feasibility is a greater risk than the alignment, right? So the next item too is the scalability and flexibility. You know, a lot of companies wanted the one and dones, right? A lot of this too is bringing up technical debt. A lot of things are coming around the corner where you're like, well, I just spent $2.5 million on a new infrastructure 5 years ago. Why are we working on AI now? Why are we doing this, right? And it's going to cost us another $5 million to build back better, or to build into this integration piece. And what, in the next year, it will change again, and we have to spend another 2.5 just to keep up? That's not sustainable, right? But again, I think with AI and this flexibility of the strategic, the strategy is really understanding the ability to be flexible, right? Finding features, finding APIs that are flexible to your organization. And again, I'm speaking on the org side, but also on your personal life too, being flexible. Because again, ChatGPT just lost #1. Now it's Claude AI #1. And right now, Claude's now doing 1 million inputs and 1 million outputs. I don't know about y'all, but I can't write 1 million words to save my life. You know, like, that's incredible. And now it's picking up photos. It's picking up, anybody work with architecture, design plans? Anybody? Okay, we got a couple of them. They can read it now. So you can do inventory lists, you can do hardware lists for your IT folks, you can break it down into what the size of the rooms are based on the scales of the actual drawings and designs, which blows my mind. And again, I don't know about y'all, but I hate doing Excel one by one, trying to get 4 screens together and trying to pull everything together, and then you're like, oh, there's my whole day, right? And so being able to use AI and really being flexible in the scalability in that strategy. The other thing too is, who's going to pay for it, right? We got our managers, we got our directors, we got our CIOs, we've got our stakeholders, but a lot of folks are really worried about what's the end user going to do with this? What are the bad actors? How are we going to manage all this? What are we going to do with this new technology that we have in our hands? How are we going to, as project managers, how are we going to sell it to our leaders? How are we going to adapt to, these questions that the leaders have? I've spoken to some of you guys earlier in the day and yesterday as well. Some of the Denver folks were really kind to sit down with me and chat with me. And really one of the biggest things is privacy, being able to understand where we're at currently in the field of AI, but also to what's the cost benefit? What are we going to get out of it, right? And really we're looking at more KPIs on a daily functionality. We're looking at an agile functionality. Waterfall is great in some cases, but when you add a little AI to it, it's all going to go waterfall, in my opinion. Don't hold me to it, but that's just my opinion. So again, we're also looking at resource optimization and priority resolution. And really, AI really identifies the resource conflicts and transparency, and also too helps communicate trade-offs to stakeholders and and it actually makes a good informed decision-making process for you guys. We're looking at a workload distribution. Like, I can give you an example where I was on this this clinic that we were building, and we had about 4 different software devs. We had a SME, subject matter expert, for those who don't know what a SME is, but really we didn't know how to distribute all the work because it was all gray. Who works with a lot of gray in their lives? Raise of hands. Everybody, hopefully. Okay, if all y'all in that center area right there, you guys have black and white, I adore that. But most of all, the rest of us, we're working on gray, really gray areas, and being able to use AI to really bring in that, be able to analyze your team strengths, weaknesses, being able to pull those things out. Mind you, you'll have to put the inputs in, but it remembers your inputs, and so you can get a full holistic approach to better align your teams a little bit more. The other thing too is we're looking at the dynamic priority adjustments. We're looking at deadlines, dependencies, and business impacts. There's a business company I believe it's in Canada right now, that has 4 huge major computers doing all this stuff with AI and being able to spit out a nice little worksheet. And a lot of people are very skeptical of that. I am too, because again, the human factor is also in that risk management. There's also the thing about accuracy comes to mind, right? We're looking at accuracy, we're looking at human interactions, and we're also looking at where if AI makes a mistake, where's that money how can we recoup that funds, right? So really we're looking at a different way we're going to use our supercomputers. Now this is kind of the fun one. So there's some AI out there that does automatic progress tracking. I love this. I just do, because honestly, it's so granular that it makes me feel like I have a rock in my shoe sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like how, the biggest thing for us is to really understand the granularity of our projects, but also the performance metrics in real time as well. But also too, I don't know about y'all, but I have 14 different project meetings a day. You've got lunch, you've got kids, you've got all this other stuff going on, and being able to have an automatic progress tracking system where it's really, like the Monday.coms, the Jiras, the ServiceNows, they're actually helping streamline that. Because back in, I'm going to age myself, so please forgive me, but back in the day, I remember it being emailed out like, Johnny's doing this, Susie's doing this, and then sometimes those emails don't hit your inbox, or you've got 5,000 emails out there, right? And you're like, where did that come from? And that's sort of what we really enjoy about the automated progress tracking. Excuse me, Mike. Great. Sorry, y'all. I am not used to this elevation, so please bear with me. All right. So, risk management. This is kind of the fun part of AI. I will say that it is a little bit wonky when it comes to risk management because, again, it's a people thing. It's a people, the numbers are there, but AI is not going to realize that Joey is about to quit his job and cut all the fiber lines while he's running away going, freedom! Oh gosh, right? And so that's sort of one of the risks that AI has, but for minor or moderate risk management, this thing is wonderful because it will surfacely identify the potential risks and add some project tasks to it. Not to mention too, it will quantify some of the risks. Now, I've been trying to play with it for a while, and you kind of need a little bit of money to really get a full quantified impacts and identifiable risk, right? Because you'll need the data for the AI to comprehend. Because a lot of your basic models don't have that. They don't have your secret sauce. They don't have your numbers put in there, right? So again, that's sort of where that's at. But again, too, lastly, the mitigation aspect of it is incredible because it actually develops resource plans and it kind of addresses risks in minimizing that. Like I did a full, I tinkered a little bit on one of my projects where I was like, okay, develop me a response plan to address this issue X, right? And I was kind of astonished on how it picked up certain items, but because it wasn't part of the whole, it didn't understand the full risk of the whole project, it gave me a good, 53%. But again, it's not about the completion of AI's work. It's about the help. I call it my little secretary. Claude is my secretary. It's also my project coordinator because I don't know about y'all, but it's always nice to have somebody just type in, you're just typing and like, please fix this for me. And it's like, sure can, boss. And then whoop, and off we go to the races. That's sort of what AI is. All right, so we talked about a little bit of risk management, but really let's work on forecast capabilities, right? That's our bread and butter, being able to forecast into the projects, being able to have some better confidence levels for our stake leaders, our stakeholders, and being really able to really say, here's a better idea. A lot of our teams, I can speak to myself, a lot of our teams are working through solutioning for at least a month to 3 months and being able to forecast some of the project plans, some of the abilities to really understand where we're at. But with AI, we can really sort of have a little bit more high-level outcomes when it comes to confidence levels. Because again, it does a standardization rather than your realization in your market, right? Because I know everybody who's in Agile has their own sizable way of dealing with their confidence levels. How confident are you? I don't know. but it actually gives you more of a standardization, and you can play with it. You can say, this is our standardization here. How can we merge that to that confident level, but you have had a baseline with, right? The next thing too is the trade-offs, right? We're looking at the pros and cons and decisions. I don't know about y'all, but I have a backlog as tall as long as the Empire State Building sometimes. And sometimes being able to put it in AI and be able to go, okay, y'all, where's the pros and cons of this ROI, right? And then you have like I don't know about y'all, but sometimes you have stakeholders that just demand a meeting in 5 minutes. Be able to pull some of that data to the spot and go, okay, I need a trade-off analysis here. Can you please help me out? And here's our paperwork here. It will spit it out, and then you can briefly read it, and then you can feel confident more and more in that meeting. Because that's all it is to do, is just to help aid that. And then 3, the risk mitigation, like we had talked about earlier on in our series, where we talked more about, the pre-risks issues and being able to really understand the issues before they arise. But I'm kind of really trying to figure out myself personally through AI on that risk mitigation aspect. Because again, input in, input out. Sometimes you have to dig a little deeper. And then lastly, we're looking at the optimal resource allocations, looking at the teams, the capacities, and the budgets. I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, my eyes cross when it comes to budgets. I don't know about anybody else. And really, you're going, okay, I got to figure this project out. I just got it at 2:30 today, and we need some sort of team put together because we have a resource meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, I'm done for the day, y'all. Like, I'm ready to go home, but really being able to go, okay, let's try to figure this out. And being able to really put in your project plan, be able to say, okay, this is our capacity, and then put in their own schedules in their own, like, for example, our team has a schedule Excel sheet where we put in, I copy and paste that into our project plan and then bundle that into Claude, and we're able to see a little bit better resource allocations across the board. We also use ServiceNow, and you can export that and put that into Claude and be able to play with it a little bit more. All right, so here's what's really cool about some of the project management solutions that I've seen come up, like Monday.com, ClickUp, Rike. They're probably, in my opinion, again, I don't speak for the brand of the company, that they are really good at task management. Being able to really, so if you have a lot of juniors on your team, a lot of ability to really say, okay, here's what the project plan looks like. This is how we can take you from prelim discovery all the way to deployment, right? And so that's been really, really cool in my world, is being able to really understand the dashboards a little bit better on these, because again, we're looking at people that want it now, yesterday, like, let's do this, let's go, let's drill home, and really you can go, well, here's our dashboard, it's in PowerPoint, and then be able to present that to stakeholders quicker, faster, and more objectively. Not to mention too, it also helps drill down some of the tasks. I've been playing with a little bit of some of the, the ClickUps and the Asenas and the Rikes, a little bit more, but the drilled down tasks are fabulous. I don't know about y'all, but every time I get a new project, a stakeholder or our team's like, no, I don't want the same tasks as we had last project, and be able to use the project charter and be able for it to automate some of those tasks for us. Chef's kiss, right? Because again, it's all about how quick we can start to pull more and more data out to make sure that we are aligned in our organization. Okay, so a little bit of raise of hands on this one. So Who likes scheduling? Who likes to put schedules together? I will pray for y'all. God bless you. I do not like scheduling at all. That's me. I don't know about y'all, but trying to get Susie, Johnny, Cindy Lou Who, Yogi Bear, and Mickey Mouse to play together, but they're all off on different schedules. I don't know about y'all, but it gives me a little panic attack here and there. But really, what's really great about AI, especially in Claude, is you can actually put their schedule in there and say, I need a schedule for that task, or I need something to help cross-reference those teams on those projects. Like, for example, if they have like 30 hours of project time remaining on a weekly basis, right? You're looking at a monthly, you're looking at a yearly, you can pull that data up and then you can start picking your teams way much in advance, and it probably take you about 30 minutes to an hour versus a month, right? And that brings you more into alignment with your stakeholders saying, I need this project done. It's $20 million. We're trying to gear up for this, but like you're like, y'all, we need scheduling. We need to learn how to get the team together. We need more energy because our teams are slim. I don't know about y'all's organizations, but a lot of times we're playing, pick a team kind of thing where we're picking we're kind of cherry picking who needs to be on that team and how and what kind of resources they have. That's sort of what we're looking at. And then also too, I have played with a little bit of intelligent delegation. So like, for example, all my races go through Claude. It's amazing. You can make it as detailed as you want, or you can actually make it into as high level as you want, right? But really being able to optimize the workloads with the scheduling, with the delegation of that schedule, that's game changers, y'all. That's being able to go, okay, we've got the schedule. We've got the delegation to that schedule, and then you'll be able to kick off quicker. Be able to go, okay, we've got a team. We've got the team members that are well suited, and also understanding the workloads. Because again, we're here to protect our team. We're here to serve our teams a little bit better and efficiently. I know I've made mistakes in scheduling. I know I've made mistakes in delegation of my team based on their workloads. And again, this helps so much in the ways of protecting our team's burnout rates, being able to really maximize who needs to be the key players, who needs to be divulging in that. And then this is kind of the fun one. I mentor a lot of people on the side in our chapter. We have a lot of young PMs come in, a lot of pivotal PMs, like they're in their mid-40s, they have kids, they're ready to make an impact that would make their families more viable in terms of their economic status. And a lot of times we get questions. I know for us in the PMI realm that PMI just came out with their ChatGPT model, and that's great. I love it. It needs a little bit of work, like most things, but it can do the job. But really understand that other models can do it similarly. But again, you can start to ask from a mentor standpoint, if they're asking you questions that are, I call them, you should have known this kind of thing. It's way up here. You need to focus on this. But if you have deeper questions, come see me kind of thing. Because I don't know about y'all, but I get 45 questions a day or more on simple PM questions, and being able to go, here's a customizable SOP almost to project management, and PMI has done that. So they can ask those questions like, should the plan go before the schedule, or the schedule before the plan, or how can we sort of adapt those questions to those people? I know from there's an SOP company, I forget the name off the top of my head, but it actually records how to do things and being able to document it. And then they can ask the question, and all of a sudden it pops up a video going, this is how you do it. Instead of having those Wikipedia, wikis kind of things where you're trying to type in what you're trying to look for. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I don't get the right answers. And so being able to have AI measure what they're trying to say or what questions they have, and based on your company, being able to pull up the correct videos and really streamline the education pieces as well as your sanity. I don't know about y'all, but as a senior PM, I'm on a train of thought, and then there's 14 other questions coming at me all at once, and you're the key of many gates, and being able to have an SOP wiki that they can type in their question without having to use keywords, game changer, right? The next thing I'd like to speak about is identity process inefficiencies. We talked a lot about, the front end of a project, but looking at, a little bit more deeper of, like, for example, workflow analysis. You can actually really look at the redundancies and the areas for your own organization task management processes. I know that a lot of EPMOs are built out of hope, luck, and a little bit of money. And really, some of the foundational workflows or the wireframings to that API or that one program that rules them all, and it's like the core thing, but it's so old that you can't really touch it, because if you touch it, the whole thing dies. This actually helps you help a little bit more on being able to have more of a granular approach to your stakeholders as well as your CEOs, going, okay, here's the problem. Here's how we can try to solutionate it, and then here's the ROIs based on the workflow analysis. The other thing too is the impacts from the cost measurements aspect. Really, it all boils down to is having AI just double check your timesheets with folks, because I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of timesheets, because there's so many, and a lot of them are, all the timesheets that I've seen, it's very rudimentary in the terms of the software, in terms of how we can do that. But when we can actually export that out and be able to show some of the low, the lost productivities here and there, and then you can actually start to do lessons learned a little bit faster. And then we can go into optimized opportunities. The biggest thing here is really trying to allocate those resources and really target interventions before they get out of control. One of the biggest inefficiencies that I see in my field is really, it's just the time between vendor to customer, right? And how we can leverage some of these AI improvements to really try to bring a bridge together. Because again, we're kind of playing that hurry up and wait game a lot of times, and being able to really work through the workflow analysis for your org. Because sometimes, we do the best that we can, but a lot of times that workflow kind of gets wonky, and it can actually slow production. Okay, y'all, this is my fun part. I promise this is kind of where I love talking about this with individuals, because right now in IST, they're looking at oversight, they're looking at privacy, they're looking at these items, but let's flip the script a little bit. We can start to integrate AI with our own compliance and governance. So when they try to fill out a form or they try to build certain things, you can have an AI API to help figure out what they did wrong, instead of having an additional person look through that compliance piece, or look through the change management control. You can actually see where they're at before the meeting even starts. So you're not having a lost meeting going, well, you didn't get all your stuff together, or you have another additional team member has to review it again and again. The other thing too is, it still ensures regulatory compliance as well. Like I said, I work in the medical field, and regulatory is everywhere. And I don't know about you, but I don't have, in my little brain, 500,000 page documents that I can remember, right? And being able to put that in Claude, which has a million or so words you can put into it, you can start asking questions and starting to really identify those compliance and visibilities into your own processes. We talked about this a little bit before, but I want to hit home again on resource management insights. Like I said, no one likes to do the budget except for our analytic teams and those folks that love numbers. God bless you. I love you guys. You guys are my strength when I'm not strong on that one. But really being able to use like ClickUp, or being able to use a AI software to help you understand where the budget's going, how the budgets are being affected with the time lost or the time gained back, that's going to be a game changer on real-time budgeting and how you can really drive home with your stakeholders of going, okay, I just made you $200,000 extra because of X. Or, I hate to say this, but we just lost $1 million because we made a terrible risk and we didn't see it. But again, with real-time budget tracking, that $1 million loss would be somewhat curved in the way of we saw it coming a little bit more faster than your atypical way of looking at budget tracking. Also looking at, workload distribution, like we talked about with scheduling, and being able to have real balanced resource utilization and avoiding burnout. Since the pandemic, I have seen a larger turn of project managers of just burnouts, and being able to say, okay, with a little bit of AI, we can help balance our teams, balance the way we can really focus on how we are managing the work capacity. Because again, the work never stops. If it does, we're belly up, right? So really trying to understand the utilization rates a little bit more granular. So the really big thing that I really want to drive home with you today is, the productivity boosts and being able to use this as a task management aspect and be able to use some of the tool. Again, AI is a tool. It's not the robot from the Jetsons cleaning your house and folding the laundry and doing all that other fun stuff that we really pray for. But yet last year we only got an ice cream machine. I was like, really, folks? Like, we need that robot, right? But really being able to really boost those productivities. Now, I'm not saying that you'll get 30% off the top, but as you start to work with AI and as you start to understand how AI can work for you, you can see that those little tiny increments that we talked about, and being able to go, okay, this little piece here, this, and it starts to add up, right? It's the small things that gets us weighed down. It's not the big stuff. It's always the small stuff. It's that little rock in your shoe that you're trying to shake out. That's where it slows down that productivity line. It's not the big stuff, because we can all handle the big stuff. It's the smaller stuff that gets annoying, pesky. It doesn't really fit well, right? And then two, it also allows your workers, even yourself, to think visionary. I think one of the coolest things that I have worked on in AI is being able to say, I want this. I want you to paint a picture. And what's really cool about this power slide, y'all, I did it all in AI. I put my outline in there, and it spit it out. Now, if you want to use it, it's gamma.app, alpha, beta, gamma, that gamma.app. But really, these photos were made off of my words. And being able to have the ability to use a little bit of my wordsmithing in the creativity of these images that it created in real time. And that in itself is kind of the coolest thing, because I feel like I'm a painter. I'm not by no means an artist, by no means. But be able to do some really cool futuristic stuff that looks like Star Wars. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I'm like, I like this. I like this AI. This AI is pretty cool. But again, we're really trying to get into that Renaissance area in AI. But with productivity, we can become creative and not so much in a box. You know, we're all been trained to, this is how productivity is and this is how we're going to manage it. No, productivity can be whatever you want it to be now, because we have the capability with AI, and with your mind and with some other people's minds and maybe a few drinks, you may be able to manage to really be a visionary for your own task management. Because again, you can create a, I don't know who likes coding, but you can pretty much make a prompt that you can put in your notebook on your computer if you use Windows, and you can copy and paste that on a daily. Like I do all my status reports from my CEOs. I do a lot of the little trivial tasks, and I put my notes in there. I put all the data that I want to come out of, and it's saving me close to 4 hours of time, and I'm only doing it for about 20 minutes. And folks, that stuff adds up, and then you are starting to focus on your life, your career. I don't know about y'all, but this is a great opportunity to learn here, but a lot of people don't have the opportunity like yourselves to be in a room like this to learn, because they don't have the time. And if we gave them back the time, we can actually start to figure out, okay, we can bring more people into the room to learn and to grow. So again, we're looking at the risks and mitigations again, but really, one of the biggest things is AI bias, right? We all been there. We all sat down on our phones or our computers, and AI has a bias. It tries to be, it tries to be neutral, agnostic at best, but sometimes AI says, no, this is my standard. It's not your standard, it's my standard. So again, we have to be careful of those AI biases. Then we have the change opposition. Most of y'all are looking at me like I have deer in headlight look over here, because again, change is hard. Change is very hard, especially when change comes at you in 30 seconds with AI. Being able to replace workers with AI, being able to do those sort of things. It's scary, y'all. The change that is coming is scary, but it's not like boo scary, but it's a little taken back, like I don't want to play with this. But again, we're really looking at, turning down the resistance of the change and being able to be change makers and say, you know what, it's a little scary, but a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of work, we can get through this. And imagine the impact that you would have on your companies as well as your livelihoods outside of work. Is going to be incredible. Also too, we're also looking at the transparency and trying to explain the whole thing about AI. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of backroom talk with AI. It happens to most tech companies, but really trying to understand that transparency aspect and being able to understand their privacy aspects and be able to really understand that risk of adopting AI into your life. And then lastly, the integration challenges, like I said, with integrations in any org, you have that 40-year tried and true DOS input EMR or what have you, and if you take that away, it's going to collapse your thing and collapse your whole system. And again, I believe with a little bit more, I think about in 2 to 5 years, I really think that AI is going to change that in the way of looking into the program, seeing where it's going to break, and be able to give you some solutions along the way. And again, I think also too, your system integrators will really enjoy the tool, but also from a vendor standpoint, you won't have that person that's trying to figure out certain things. It will they'll use that tool and it will minimize the cost more effectively in how we can integrate those integration changes. We're looking at the future outlook here, where we're really looking at the learning curve. I remember growing up when family computers come up, and your grandma's like, "Hey, how do you get to that internet again? How do you click on this?" Right? Same thing with AI. A lot of people are scared, and in the next hour, we're going to teach you guys how to use AI and help you boost your LinkedIn favorability, also doing sales pitches, the whole nine. And also I'll throw some wrenches out to the crowd and really get some Q&As while we're working through it. So please stay tuned for that. But again, we're looking at some vast productivity leaps, as well as different work changes, different adaptions. We'll have different workers. We'll have the same workers possibly, but the way we're training them will be different. The way they'll interact with customers will be different. Then we'll have the ability to adopt, right? We're not there yet. I will tell you that outright right now. I talked to somebody that was in the DoD today, and they're like, "Yeah, the government's not moving with AI." Okay, that's fair, but they're not ready yet. I think a lot of people are wanting to do more discovery and more time talking to folks like myself and some other people in the room, being able to really see where AI is. Because again, AI may change in the next year. And again, with AI, it's always changing. So it's almost like you want to rip the Band-Aid off a hairy person, right? You just, yeah. But that's the hard part, is being able to rip that Band-Aid and go, well, we did it. Yay! Now we have to deal with the fallout, right? But again, we have to really understand where that initial discovery and adoption comes from, right? And I'd say in about 2 to 5 years, there'll be some adoption because, again, we have Microsoft, we have Amazon, we have Google, we have a lot of bigger companies that have a lot more money than you and I and everybody in Denver has to really dive deep in some of those problematic issues with the adoption and being able to have more stability. It may not have more functionality, but it'll have more stability and accuracy. And that's what we want, right? We want accuracy, we want more ability to hit that target, right? And then too, it also has the mass ability to have this productivity revolution. I call it a revolution because imagine if you guys, how many people work remotely right now? Yeah. How many people want to do laundry or mow the lawn or be able to spend more time with their kids, right? Anybody agree with that? Yeah. I mean, I know about me. I like to take a nap, right? I'm a big fan of naps and Little Debbie cookies. Like, that's my jam. But being able to be productive more so, and being able to go, you know what? My work's done for the day. I'm going to be productive. Or if you guys are crazy, go, I want another project. I want another piece of the pot in the backlog, or even telling your boss, hey, you got project Q2 here, I want that, right? And it makes you look like you're a rock star. And again, that's sort of what we're looking at. We're looking at this incredible, like, renaissance of newness. Even though AI's been around for years and years and years and years, it's just the way AI is now coming to the market is more accessible. And I will say this, folks with neurodivergencies, your ADHDs, your autism people with Down syndrome, they're actually getting project manager jobs today because of AI. That's incredible, folks. We're leveling the gaming field so that those folks can have an opportunity to be successful with their passions and their abilities, and being able to send out like these wonderful emails that they struggle with, or people who have anxiety. I don't know about you, but I get anxious when my CEO just calls me out of nowhere, right? And being able to email them with professional information and being able to say, does this look right? Does this sound good? Kosher, I get to live another day, right? Yay! That's sort of where we're looking at. And it's going to level the market in terms of accessibility for those who are disabled and folks that need to be enabled to do the work, right? That's the importance of the whole talk today, is being able to encourage y'all to be more proactive in AI. Here's some key takeaways, right? So we talked about a little bit of the AI perks, right? And being able to have the leveraging of that task management. That's going to be crucial. We're also looking at the significant improvements in AI in efficiency. It's the little tasks that add up. It's not the big grandioso, I've got a project plan I have to make and I have to present it to X, Y, and Z. No, it's like, I got to email Sue and Bobby about this, but I'm really ticked off and I don't want to go to HR on Monday, but I really, really want to just tell them all, right? Everybody's been there. I'm just reading y'all's minds. You don't have to laugh or anything, but I get you. But being able to use that for that same function of being able to really develop those strategies and being able to really be more productive and efficient, not to mention a little bit more politically correct for those people that need help with emails sometimes. But also, too, we're looking at opportunities for cost savings. If you're a small business, who's on my small business owners in the room? All right, one guy, congratulations, you're awesome. All right, so really, we're really trying to get here is really, you're going to save money in your job. You're going to save money, and you can be able to say, you know what, I can take on 6, 7 clients. I can now take that cookie break. Then, and also, too, being able to delegate that to subcontractors if need be, right? So again, that's sort of where that cost efficiency is, also in the larger markets. And then lastly, too, being able to really be forward-thinking project managers and being able to explore key areas where the innovation and the success of who you are as individuals and being able to be task managers in AI is going to be crucial in the next 10 years. Because we're going from a all-knowing focus to a generalizational track when it comes to AI, and being able to have hats of many things instead of one hat to rule them all. And again, I thank you so, so much. And that little QR code is my LinkedIn. Come and follow me, ask me questions, troll me, whatever you want to do. It's right there. Feel free, and again, I can't thank you enough, Denver. Come back in about 30 minutes, and we'll start the workshop. Thank you so much.